I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahushai, Ba'Hashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who do rule well and teach this truth in all honesty and sincerity and great diligence. And salutations to you brothers around the four corners of the earth that teach this truth in all honesty and sincerity and great diligence as well, risking your lives and freedom to do so. And I just want to get into a quick lesson on the dietary laws um, of Israel given to us in the Old Testament, and they still apply, even though especially Christians and people of the church world like to say that, well, that's in the Old Testament, or the law's done away with, or I'm gonna cover that. But one thing I have been noticing is that Israel is coming away from eating a lot of these abominable foods. You know, they kind of not making a connection that the health wise, why their health is going the way it is, but whatever's sparking the change. I mean, I know they seeing the videos that brothers is putting out, weekly, daily, but even people that don't, you know, watch or subscribe to GMS or Israelites in general, period. They just the Lord is turning people, or his people, those who he choose, they just not eating as much, or not, they turn away from pork and even meats in general, coming with all the information out about what they doing to the foods and the meats, and a lot of our people playing it safe and just eating more vegetables, salads, and fruits and stuff like that. And I just want to cover that, um, and I'm in the book of Leviticus, where the Most High is giving the law to Moses, of what's clean and unclean, what's lawful and unlawful to consume. And I'm gonna start in the 11th chapter, and I'm just start it off, and it reads. And the Lord spake unto Moses and to Aaron, saying unto them, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, and that's you Negroes, you Latinos, you Native Americans, and the confusion of faces that got the spirit of Israel on them, or in them, I should say. So I'm gonna continue. These laws apply to you. These heathens, they can eat cat, rat, dog, and all this calamari and all these different things, because they not under the law, and it really, they don't really be affected like we are affected by eating these defiled foods or these unclean meats. Saying, These are the beasts which ye shall eat among all the beasts that are on the earth. Whatsoever parted the hoof, and is cloven footed, and cheweth cud among the beasts, that shall ye eat. So, well, it's going to give examples. Nevertheless, these shall ye not eat: of them that chew the cud, or of them that divided the hoof, as the camel, because he cheweth the cud, but divided not the hoof, he is unclean to you. So a camel, you're not supposed to be eating camel's meat. And the coney, which is like a sort of rabbit, or in a rodent family. It looks like a what's those things? I can't. It's a animal that swim, but it's like Anyway, it's in the rodent family or whatever. And and the coney, because he chewed the cud, but divided not the hoof, he is unclean unto you. And the hare, which is a rabbit, because he chewed the cud, but divided not the hoof, he have like paws, like a cat almost. And the swine, which is the pig, though he divided the hoof and is cloven footed, yet he chewed not the cud. He is unclean to you. Of their flesh shall ye not eat, and their carcass shall ye not touch. They are unclean unto you. And the nature of a filthy pig is to wallow in the mud and piss and shit and all that, and he basically is a garbage disposal of the earth. Goes around and eats all the dead things on the earth. A pig will eat everything but teeth, you know. And verse 9: These shall ye eat of all that are in the waters, whatsoever have fins and scales in the waters, in the seas, and in the rivers, them shall ye eat. So, bluegill, bass, crappie, salmon, um, any fish that have scales and fins. Verse 10: And all that have not fins nor scales in the seas and in the rivers, of all that move in the waters, and of any living thing which is in the waters, they shall be an abomination unto you. They shall be even an abomination unto you. Ye shall not eat of their flesh, but you shall have their carcasses in an abomination, in abomination. Whatsoever hath no fins nor scales in the waters shall be an abomination unto you. And these are they which ye shall have an abomination among the fowls. They shall not be eaten. They are an abomination: the eagle, and the ossifrage, and the osprey, and the vulture, and the kite after his kind, every raven after its kind, and the owl, and the night hawk, and the cuckoo, and the hawk after his kind, and the little owl, and the cormorant, and the great owl, and the swan, and the pelican, and the gyre eagle, and the stork, the heron after her kind, and the lapwing, and the bat, all the fowls that creep going up on all fours shall be an abomination unto you. Yet these may ye eat of every flying creeping thing that goeth up on all fours, which have legs above their feet, to leap withal upon the earth. Even these of them ye may eat. The locust, like grasshoppers, after his kind, and the bald locust after his kind, and the beetle after his kind, and the grasshopper after his kind. But all other flying creeping things which have 4 feet shall be an abomination unto you, and for these ye shall be unclean. Whatsoever toucheth the carcass of them shall be unclean until the even. And whatsoever beareth out of the carcass of them shall wash his clothes and be unclean until the even. The carcass of every beast which divideth the hoof, and is not cloven footed, nor cheweth the cud, and are unclean unto you. Every one that touches them shall be unclean. And okay, I'm gonna skip to verse 29. These also shall be unclean unto you among the creeping things that creep upon the earth: the weasel, and the mouse, and the tortoise after his kind, and the ferret, and the chameleon, and the lizard, and the snail, and the mole, And Esau makes everything seem like a delicacy that's really an abomination to Israel. Escargot, eating snail eggs and what's the eating fish eggs and just all kind of anything whatever Esau says is a delicacy is 9.999999 times out of 10 is unlawful unto us Israelites. And and even though the Lord gave us those laws in Ezekiel, he prophesied a time that was going to come upon our people, such as now in America, that we were going to basically eat unclean things and defile foods among these heathens, because we were never meant to dwell and live amongst heathens, because we would take on be influenced with those customs, especially being made to forget our heritage and our customs and who we are as a people and what is expected of us from the Most High. And this is Ezekiel, the 4th chapter, and I'm gonna start at verse 12. And thou shalt eat it as barley cakes, and thou shalt bake it with dung that cometh out of man in their sight. And the Lord said, even thus shall the children of Israel eat their defiled bread among the Gentiles, whither I will drive them. And these Gentiles, this Gentiles in this tense is talking about the natural Gentiles, the heathens, the heathen nations, whither the Lord will drive us, whither I will drive them. So where the Lord had us in captivity, and that's not meaning that we should just not give a damn about the laws and just have that attitude as when in Rome do as the Romans. No, that's some bullshit. And speaking of Romans, um, um, well, I'll come back to Romans, but I'm gonna grab this in precept in 1 Corinthians 10 and verse 23. All things are lawful for me, but all things are not expedient. Which is saying, we can't rehearse every righteous, every lawful act being in this captivity, because for one, we don't have our own resources and our own land, our own fabrics, clothes to make our own apparel. So we though things are lawful, we are unable to carry them out exactly how it's meant to be. But that's why we're supposed to do the best that we can to our abilities. And jumping to Romans chapter 6 and 15. And it reads, what then? Shall we sin because we are not under the law, but under grace? Yahweh forbid. Because we are under grace, because this is a captivity, like I said, and our last captivity, I must mention. But we have to basically be in a lower state and move wise in this captivity. And a lot of our laws, we can't follow to the T, but that don't mean that we just willfully sin. And I'm gonna hop over to the book of Acts, chapter 10, and because it's a misunderstanding. A lot of people are told, by pastors and these so-called theologians, or these people in these seminary schools, that it's okay to eat these lawful things that the Most High told you not to in the Old Testament. And they say, well, this is the New Testament. The Old Testament done away with, the laws done away with. The Lord said, don't call anything that I've called clean unclean. And they think that that's pertaining to the unclean foods. But that's a corner way of thinking. I'm going to start in chapter 10, verse 9. On the morrow, as they went on their journey and drew nigh unto the city, Peter went up upon the house to pray about the 6th hour, and he became very hungry, and would have eaten, but while they made ready, he fell into a trance. So the Most High put him into a trance so he could show him a vision, and saw heaven opened, and a certain vessel descended unto him, as it had been a great sheet, knit at the four corners, and let down to the earth, wherein were all manner of four-footed beasts of the earth, and wild beasts, and creepy things, and fowls of the air. And there came a voice to him, Rise, Peter, kill and eat. But Peter said, Not so, Lord, for I have never eaten anything that is common or unclean. And the voice spake unto him again the second time, What Yahweh had cleansed, that call not thou common. This was done thrice, and the vessel was received up again into heaven. Now while Peter doubted in himself what this vision which he had seen should mean, behold, the men which were sent from Cornelius had made inquiry for Simon's house, and stood before the gate, and called and asked whether Simon was, which was surnamed Peter, was lodged there. While Peter thought on the vision, the Spirit said unto him, Behold, 3 men seek thee. Arise therefore, and get thee down, and go with them, doubting nothing, for I have sent them. Then Peter went down to the men which were sent unto him from Cornelius, and said, Behold, I am he whom ye seek. What is the cause therefore wherefore ye are come? And they said, Cornelius, the centurion, a just man, and one that feareth Yahweh, and of good report among all the nations of the Jews, was warned from Yahweh by a holy angel to send for thee into his house, and to hear words of thee. Then called he them in, and lodged them. And on the morrow Peter went away with them, and certain brethren from Joppa accompanied him. And the morrow after they entered into Caesarea, and Cornelius waited for them, and had called together his kinsmen and near friends. And as Peter was coming in, Cornelius met him, and fell down at his feet, and worshipped him. But Peter took him up, saying, Stand up, I myself also am a man. And as he talked with him, he went in, and found many that were come together. And he said unto him, Ye know how that it is an unlawful thing for a man that is a Jew to keep company or come unto one of another nation. But Yahweh has showed me that I should not call any man common or unclean. Therefore came I unto you without gainsaying, as soon as I was sent for. I asked therefore, what intent ye have sent for me? And Cornelius said, 4 days ago I was fasting until this hour. And at the ninth hour I prayed in my house, and behold, a man stood before me in bright clothing, and said, Cornelius, thy prayer is heard, and thine alms are had in remembrance in the sight of Yahweh. Send therefore to Joppa, and call hither Simon, whose surname is Peter. He is lodged in the house of one Simon, a tanner, by the seaside, who, when he cometh, shall speak unto thee. Immediately therefore I sent to thee, and thou hast well done that thou art come. Now therefore are we all here present before Yahweh to hear all things that are commanded thee of Yahweh. And Peter opened his mouth and said, of a truth I perceive Yahweh is no respecter of persons, but in every nation he that feareth him and worketh righteousness is accepted with him. And basically he was saying that it was he was talking to a confusion of face, because Cornelius was in fact an Israelite and was not just a Roman per se, an Edomite, and that was the vision sent to him by the unclean fools. So it's not talking about, oh, as long as you pray over some food that you can eat it, because these pastors and priests or whatever, they'll say that. I've heard them, I've witnessed it, and they speak without any understanding. That's not talking about just pray over anything and you can eat it. No, it's talking about the Israelite foreigners, or that's in all different nations, and that are following the Lord, because the heathen's not gonna follow the Lord. They're not gonna, be in tune with these scriptures and the laws like that. And to further prove that it's not talking about well, the old law is not done away with, the old covenant is not done away with, I'm gonna hop to Matthew the 5th chapter. Okay, I'm all right. This is Matthew the 5th chapter, and I'm gonna start at verse 16. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one iota or one tittle shall no wise pass from the law, till all be fulfilled. Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments, and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. And that's a clear cut to that false doctrine of the law is done away with. This is the New Testament, at the beginning of the New Testament. So how are these so-called preachers and pastors and whatever title you want to put on yourself is telling the people that the law is done away with? So don't be listening to these pork chop pastors and these bishops of bacon and think that they telling you the right thing. Cause that's not sound doctrine at all. But with that, I hope this was an edifying lesson. And I'm gonna say shalom and a baba ball.